Do you want to learn the secrets of trading? The truth is, too many investors know the struggles of trading. Now let's find out what worked and what didn't with their personality, as these successful investors share their trading journey with us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A Trader's Journey. Today, we're going to be interviewing Stephen DUX. Stephen, how are you doing today?
How are you?
Doing great. Thank you very much. And before we get started, remember, folks, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Stephen, let's go ahead and get right into it. First question I have for you here is, when you knew you wanted to trade, how many hours did you put into studying before you were actually trading live money?
Okay, so back in when I was 19, so that was about 6-7 years ago, and I got into this trading industry, but I didn't really know how much money I supposed to put it in and how many hours I supposed to put it in. So I was just testing the water at the very beginning. And as soon as I found the edge, I think after I traded around $500 for 2 months, and that's where I start putting in a lot of hours of studying. I would say the hardest time that I've been studying was about 10 hours a day, every single day in a year without a break, not even holidays. So, and plus my engineering study hours as well. So that was a tough time. And after that year, I think I got like a stomach ulcer for a bit, then I recovered. So.
Well, I'm glad that you recovered. That's incredible. What the funny part about that to me is my first account was $500 as well, but I actually ended up blowing that up. I had to save up some more before I got back in and was able to be successful. So you mentioned your engineering right there. How did your education in engineering, along with your gaming experience, actually make you a better trader?
Okay, so the way I really treat how you're supposed to study is when I attend back in the days when I attend high schools or college, or when I was little, I figured that most of the lessons, there's only about 10 minutes of concentrated content. Then pretty much the rest of it just, a lot of people just repeating or teacher talking about unnecessary stuff. And I really want to learn and try to focus on the dense information that's out there online. And that's where that I packed a lot of stuff and tried to shrink trading down into like a very, I would say, concentrated points that I have to focus. And the gaming part, I think the way I play a tons of strategy games, that is, there is no 100% winning, 100% strategy. There's always somebody who's going to counter you. So you have to always adapting to the strategy that they're currently playing. And that gave me a mentality of I'm not always perfect. There's no perfect edge in the market. And that I think that gave me the, I would say, the mentality to back me up to really focus what is a correct method to trade in the market. So
that's incredible, because I'm also a fan of strategy games. And for me, and especially in a strategy game, there absolutely is always a counter. And in the market, nothing ever really works for a long, indefinitely. You always have to change up your strategy. That's a really good point. I actually didn't even think about that, but I had the same experience. That's amazing. So what do you think separates you from 90% of traders who struggle with consistency?
Okay, so I think there's two things that separate me from them. Is I tend to memorize a chart. Not many people, after they trade, when they take a loss or win, they don't really care about what happens after, or they don't really care about how they played it and what's the chart look like. Is there any weird part played in there? I pretty much printed all of the chart that's, I would say, that had something that's important for me to notice. I had pages of charts that duct taping on the wall back in the days. he was pretty much surrounding the entire office, and people thought I was crazy. And so that gave me a really good, I would say, memory of, okay, so this is the Synergy chart that I've seen before. And after seeing so many times and spent so many time studying, that type of chart kind of printed in my head. Now, the second thing that separates me from other people is I dig really, really deep on statistics. Now, a lot of people track the basic statistics, like the market cap, the flow, how the candlestick played out. They don't really know how to really use statistics. And I use a lot of data, filter them out, dig a lot of method out. Like, for example, different market caps supposed to have its own maximum dollar can be traded before it loses its own momentum. So let's say there's a whole lot of different traders out there. And when you tend to track market cap that initially started under 100 million, there's a certain limit in a day that think about all of the day trader money plus together, and there's a maximum amount. Once you see so many examples, you can kind of tell that, okay, well, today, let me use the volume, potential volume, and use the potential volume times the price, and I can kind of calculate it's going to reach the maximum dollar amount. So in my back of my mind, I already know, okay, the stock is likely to drop today. So that's one of the statistic method that I found out about 2 years ago. It's working already well. Yeah.
That's amazing. I used a journal to kind of keep track. I never printed out charts, but I can actually picture that because that's amazing. I can picture charts being pasted all over the office. That's really cool. So everyone wants tips on how to profit from trading or want instruction on how to profit for trading. So in your words, what are your 3 key successes for trading? Keys to success.
The 3 key success will be when you're a beginner, you have to focus on to find the edge. You need the edge, at least one edge. Pretty much for, I would say 99% of the trader, you only need one edge to be able to gain a ton, grow into a bigger account. So find a strategy that can win about 70% of the time, 80% of the time. And the next thing you want to track will be the frequency, how many times it happens per year. So you can kind of simulate, okay, so this pattern happens about 70 times per year. This is average reward is anywhere between 20, 25%. Then you can simulate, okay, this is how much money I can make by the end of the year. Once you know that in the back of your head in this way, which goes into the next point, will be eliminating your emotion. So once you know how much money you can make per year, you're not very I was scared to place a trade if you take a loss because you know in back of your head, this is the statistics. And majority of the people that blew up their account is they always want to make their losses back in the next day or in a hurry. And that's where they make them, I would say, majority of their mistakes or major mistakes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Revenge trading is what I call that. And that is absolutely without question the biggest driver of my biggest mistakes. I try very, very hard to wrangle my emotions. That's a really great point. So tell us about how your family and friends feel about you trading.
So at the beginning, I would say there's a culture about Asian parents that when the stock market that comes to their attention, they don't really know what's going on, in the market. They just heard the stock market can make money, so they blindly put money in, and of course they're going to lose money. So they're teaching their kids not to trade in the stock market. So when I was trading at the very beginning, my parents were very against it. It was a nightmare, and so I kind of didn't really tell them. I studied for about 1.5 years and actually made my first $1 million. Then I told them. Then they were really surprised, and ever since then they were fully support my trading career. So that's a weird journey there.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Was it hard to keep that a secret?
Not really, because my dad was kind of not like against it and also looking down on it. So as you know, the next generation, you always want to prove something to the elders that the age is different. You know, the time is different. You can make all the stuff happen that can't really happen in your age. So that was a very good, I would say, mind blowing for him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would be incredibly proud if I was able to do that. That's amazing. That's a really good job there. So if you could start again on day one, what would you tell yourself? What piece of advice would you give yourself?
So day one will be, I will tell. So funny story is I found my first age very, very quickly. And the problem is I always try to hurry. I don't understand why, because once you found your edge, you're excited, you want to make tons of gains. And I want to tell myself that always look, even though it's day trading, everything comes in really short term and you can make, you know, $1,000, $2,000 in a couple minutes, but you have to treat it as a long term. You cannot make all your money in one trade. You make all your money by every small successful trade adding up together. So that's the first most important thing I want to tell myself.
Coming up with a consistent process and then being able to repeat that process. I think that's really, really good advice. I also try to pass that along. Okay. And then finally, what is the hardest lesson you ever had to learn in your trading journey?
So hardest lesson for trader, I think, is supposed to really gain confidence back when you take a major loss, because as soon as you take a major loss, your mentality completely changes. You think that, is this really working? Is the market changing? Is my method not working anymore? And also the mentality of you want to make your losses back. And then that is the nature of humans. So it's really hard to get used to that type of feeling and find a solution for it. And I think it will take you about, average trader, about a year or two to really get across that. Yeah. So
do you have any tips for recovering from losses? Because that's something that I actually went through too. I lost a ton of confidence when I took a few big losses, and I had to rebuild my own confidence. And I know everyone else is different. So what worked for you?
What worked for me? I think you, so when you took a major loss, you kind of have to, you have to give up all your other edges and find the highest winning percentage that come across your mind and shrink that criteria into very, very specific range. So if it doesn't meet that criteria, you do not trade. So once you meet that criteria, then you trade. So in this way, you will have a very high consistent winning for a bit. That's how you grow your, let's say, build your confidence back. Once your confidence is back, then you can open up to other patterns again. Yeah.
That's a really good piece of advice. It sounds like your trading journey is quite unique. Thank you very much for sharing it with us today. And remember, folks, join us next time on A Trader's Journey.